and they meet with a funeral director where arrangements are not in place. And I've seen families come in and meet with the funeral director where a pre-arrangement is all in place. And so today, I'm going to share with you a little bit of what can go on when a family comes in to meet with the funeral director and a pre-arrangement is not in place. So for today's story, Mom and Dad are divorced, Dad just passed away, and now the funeral director is going to be meeting with the 3 kids.
Okay, well, we just finished all the vital statistical information, everything here.
Can you put the mic closer, please?
We just finished the vital statistical information we're going to use to complete the death certificate. Now we just need to talk about a few things and see what type of arrangement would you all like to arrange for, what type of funeral services, whether you want to do burial or cremation. That will be the choice right now.
Well, Dad told me that he wanted to be cremated.
Okay.
Well, he told me that he wanted a casket burial.
Well, a long time ago he was talking about the fact that he's a veteran and he wants the burial, but then recently he was talking about possibly getting cremated, and I just really don't know. I don't know what he would want. I wish we could just call him and ask him what he would want.
Well, I don't want to pay for a
This is just such
cremation.
a mess.
Well, I'm not paying for a burial, so there.
Okay, well, first of all, one thing we got to look at also, keep in mind that with cremation, there's a lot of legality involved. We have to have total agreement with the family. There are some state statutes in place now as well, but also we need to make sure that everyone is in agreement with that, because cremation is irreversible as opposed to burial. Once cremation takes place, that's final. So you all will need to take your time and get together and see what type of services you would actually like to agree upon. And my suggestion right now is that we just need to right now actually just stop a while and give you all the chance to talk about it, think it over. We can come back tomorrow if you like and finish from there. But just keep in mind that for cremation, we need to have all 3 of you all to sign authorization for cremation. If you don't all 3 sign, what will happen according to statute is that we have to wait 14 days before we can proceed with the actual cremation. And if you can't come to an agreement, we may have to get the courts involved. Keep in mind there is a charge per day for refrigeration for cremation. So if at all possible, we ask you all please get together and try to come to some agreement.
Well, I'm the one that took him to all of his doctor's appointments.
And he lived with me the last 2 years, so I think I'd know.
Don't make me
No.
feel guilty. I was in college.
Well, what do you care? You haven't talked to Dad in the last 5 years.
That's not true. I called him every Sunday. You guys, he was just so young. I can't believe this is happening. This wasn't supposed to happen this soon.
And now we're going to be meeting with the same family that comes in to see the funeral director where a pre-arrangement has all been taken care of in advance.
Okay, we just finished all the vital statistical information. I had a chance to review the files. I see everything is in order. Looking at his wishes here, I see that you do want to be cremated with the memorial service. You've even chosen his urn with the military honors at the VA cemetery here in Prescott. Okay, the thing we need to decide on now is going to be very simple, deciding on the date and time you would like to have the memorial service.
That's a relief. So that's all we have to decide then? He's done everything else?
Everything. He's even chosen how many death certificates that he wants. He even signed his own cremation authorization in advance. So that's done, and we need to sign that is already done.
And who's going to pay for all this?
He's already pre-funded it.
Oh, so
Everything
he's
is already
paid for
taken care of.
everything. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yes.
That's really good.
Very good. Special thank you to Lupe from Brown & Brown Insurance, Jabert from Nurses Network, and Bonnie Maxwell from Los Fuentes. Thank you all for your help. And Clint, of course. So advanced planning is just something that everybody should take care of themselves. I speak to all of you as colleague professionals in this room for yourselves, as well as the families we serve. And so on your tables, you all see one of these advanced planning guides. This is a document that we have prepared that can document what someone's wishes are, okay? It's not a contract, it's basically just starting a file for an individual and noting what their wishes are, their preferences for cremation or casket burial. This is something that we keep on file at the funeral home. It costs the individual nothing. It's at least a good start so that the family isn't having to guess as to what mom or dad wanted. Because as we know, even if there's longevity in the family, death isn't always fair and it comes unannounced sometimes. So this is just a start, and of course you can pre-fund. One of the advantages to pre-funding is that payment options are available, whereas most funeral homes, when a death occurs, payment is going to be due at the time of service. So I'm happy to speak with anybody, either coming out to their home or in the, a neutral place such as Denny's, or they can come into the office. And so I'm going to invite Clint to come up here for just a moment and open the floor for questions. If anyone has questions on advanced planning, that's something I can help. If somebody has questions on when a death occurs, Clint can answer those questions. Yes, Pamela?
I have two questions. What's the average cost of a cremation or an average cost of a funeral? And then the second question is, Clint mentioned that they have to keep the body for like 14 days if the family's not in agreement. What would the cost of that be to a family?
I'm going to let him answer that first. Want to repeat the question?
Okay, actually, Arizona Revised Statute has changed. There's a little blue book we have, and it's the statute. What happens now is that when it comes to people arranging for cremation, you have a certain order that it goes in. And if, let's say there are 3 kids and they're not in agreement of what can happen, and if one person is considered the actual one person that is in charge, once the demise takes place and the death has been noted or the family has been contacted, that person have 14 days, actually 15 days, to actually act upon that. If that person doesn't act upon it within that time frame, after that, the next person in line takes over. And yes, refrigeration do start to incur it, but at a cost of $75 a day after the 3rd day.
And then what's the average cost of a funeral in Yavapai County?
The average cost of a funeral before you consider the cemetery is going to be anywhere from about $4,000 to $5,000. If you're adding in the cemetery cost, it's going to be anywhere from about $7,000 to $10,000.
And a cremation cost?
Cremation, with all of the mortuaries in town, the average cost of cremation is right at about $2,000.
And I can tell you that we do own our own crematorium here in Prescott. And so when the loved one is brought into our care, they stay with us. We don't subcontract out to a third party. Any other questions? Yes.
Okay, it's going to sound silly,
No,
but
it's
I
okay.
have to ask it
Yes, ma'am.
because you were explaining prior to having arrangements made to the 3 sisters that did wonderful. Cremation is final,
Yes.
and burial and a regular casket burial is not. So I just need to, I know what final is, and I know that you can't resurrect persons, so could you explain that?
Well, basically, when the person is cremated, all you have back is cremated remains.
Right.
When a person is buried, you can always do a disinterment. If a family, if there is a question about the cause of death, why the person died, and is suspicious, they can always do a disinterment. They can exhume the body. But with cremated remains, you can't do that. Once it is done, it's final. You can't. There's nothing to go by except for the cremated remains.
I wondered if CSI was involved.
Well, actually, CSI do things a lot quicker than you do.
Do you work with people who choose to have a home funeral?
A home funeral meaning,
A home funeral.
like the body laid out at home?
Right,
Yes.
you do. You will
Yes,
work with them?
yes, we will do that.
And you'll provide the death certificates?
Yes.
And then mobility from the home to the
Yes.
crematorium?
Yes.
Okay.
And also keep in mind, in Arizona, you can act as your own funeral director.
Yes.
It's a lot harder because now everything is, we actually have to be registered with the state. Everything's done electronically.
Right.
And we also do green burials as well.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, great.
Any other
You
questions?
need to explain.
Yes?
This might be an obvious question, I don't know, but like if you did this advanced planning guide and then you moved,
Well, the advanced planning isn't she asked what happens if you fill out the advanced planning guide and you move. First of all, the advanced planning is not a contract, it's basically just starting a file. We can always shred it if need be. But when somebody enters into a prepaid cremation or a prepaid casket burial contract, the way a prearrangement works is because a death has not occurred, you don't pay the funds directly to the mortuary. The funds are going to be held through a third-party insurance company. And all funeral homes work this way. They hold the funds and they name the funeral home as the beneficiary, then they will pay us immediately upon the individual passing. The family does not have to collect the money or file a death claim. We take care of all that. But they're fully transferable to any other funeral home. So the money that was paid in, or whatever the current death benefit is, moves over toward the new funeral home if you move. And the same would apply if you had a prepaid cremation and you were traveling and the death were to occur elsewhere. There's really no reason to bring the body back. The cremation can take place at the place of passing. So the monies, again, will transfer to the other funeral home.
is that like United States wide or just Arizona?
That's the way prearrangements work, but back east, a lot of times they use trusts rather than the insurance-funded prearrangements, so check with your funeral home, but they're pretty much all the same. We'll be available afterwards if you have any questions. Oh, yes, Steve.
Say someone wants to donate their body for research, do you assist with that? Or they make referrals, or?
Yes, there are,
Repeat the question.
yeah, he asked the question whether someone wanted to do a body donation. Do we assist with that? We do assist with that. There are different organizations or reputable organizations such as Science Care, Life Legacy that will do body donation. The loved one is in our care. We do assist the families for contacting that organization for them to do that. With body donation, keep in mind everything is on the time. Usually they want it done within 24 hours, at least the cause of death. Everything done within 24 hours, that they can transport that person into their care. But we do assist with that.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much. Do we have time for one more?
Sure.
Okay.
Did you mention a green burial?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that? What is that?
Okay, just briefly, in Arizona, there's only 3 mortuaries that are certified as green burial providers through the Green Burial Council, and that is Heritage Memory Mortuary, Heritage Sunwest Funeral Home, and Heritage Coolidge Funeral Home. Basically, green burial is that we have a green section in our Oddfellow Cemetery dedicated solely to green burials, meaning within that area there is no vaults, there is nothing that is toxic for us, there's no metal caskets. When a person is considered green burial, there's no embalming unless it's done with what we call eco-chemicals, which is from plant derivatives. The person is placed in a shroud. They're placed in a biodegradable container that is biodegradable, no metal, no lead, no toxic chemicals, nothing like that can be in that container. We do provide those services. The grave is a little bit different as far as digging and opening and closing the grave is a little different, but we do offer that. And we can always give you more information if you're ready to talk to Kathie about it.
That's very interesting.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Kyle.